Hello everyone and welcome to the InfoSec's webinar on customizing the MicroStrategy experience to deliver external-facing BI applications. A couple of webinar details before it gets started. If you face any audio issues, dial-in numbers are present on the screen. During the webinar, please post your questions in the chat and will be addressed at the end. Today's webinar is recorded and will be present on the website for download. Let me introduce you to the presenter, Mr. Prateek Kumar, Relationship Manager at InfoSeps. Prateek has over 14 years of experience in strategic consulting, BI and analytics, program management, and custom application management. It's my pleasure to give it over to Prateek.
Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's session. Let me set the context for today's session. MicroStrategy is a great product, but the fact is there's no single product or platform, not just BI, but in general, that can provide everything that a user wants. The users are evolving, and so is the experience that they demand from the tools and applications. They need to have a rich experience that is customized to their needs they use on a daily basis. They're looking for a much more richer experience that is customized to their needs. I always like to use the example of Apple. The iPhone or the iPad, the iOS platform gives you probably 90% functionality, what users want out of the box. But at the same time gives you a great SDK platform to create and integrate millions of applications which are customized to your needs. Simple things like, an email or a weather, it's present out of the box, but there are, again, hundreds of apps on the App Store just because they provide a little bit of enhanced functionality or a better user experience. So the key message we want you to walk away from this presentation is, when you're building applications for large sets of external users, the end user becomes extremely important to drive adoption. And based on our experience with Nielsen and some of our other OEM customers, we feel it is not possible to achieve that with out-of-the-box features. You will need to work on customizations that gives the users the intuitive UI they need. We'll focus on some of the key areas that you should consider while customizing. So here's the agenda for today. I'll start with a brief introduction about InfoSeps and who we are. We'll then get into a little more details on the 5 areas, the seamless integration to provide a consistent user experience, prompts that are much more flexible in line with your business needs, providing an intuitive navigation and interactivity to the users. These are small things that makes it easy for the users to work in the application. We'll talk about enhanced export functionality, specifically Excel in this case, because again, MicroStrategy does a decent job with PDF, but I think there are some things that can be enhanced on the Excel side that these customizations bring. And then lastly, visualizations. How can you go beyond the visualizations that are available out of the box that might be limiting in some ways to capture more complex business cases. This will be followed by a short demo of the application. A lot of these examples that we're going to talk about today will have some reference to an application that we kind of collaborated with Nielsen to develop it for them. So you'll see a lot of reference and to the Nielsen application. We'll have about 10 to 15 minutes for QA towards the end. And then I'll also provide you some additional details on our 2 giveaways for today. The first one is a white paper that basically extends on the topic we're talking about today. It's called A New Frontier in Business Intelligence. And this white paper is intended to give companies better understanding what goes into effective external BI app development. And it's a very detailed white paper that I would highly recommend. And the second thing I will leave you with today is how can you get jump-started with or think outside the box? It's a quick strike customization program that we've just introduced. And then how can Infosys partner with you on that? So let me talk a little bit about Infosys. Infosys has about a 10-year history now. We just celebrated our 10th year in working with our customers to help derive value out of their data. We've been growing at a very healthy rate, close to 400 people in different countries now. We're servicing about 15 countries globally for different projects. Our main USP is scalability. We've delivered complex MicroStrategy and other BI projects for global enterprises in 15 different countries, with team sizes of up to 100 consultants. We have a large number of MicroStrategy experts worldwide. The second thing is we have a dedicated data visualization team. These are graphic designers that have learned the tool. These are married with the BI expertise, and they bring visual flair to dashboard, mobile projects, and graphics. We also have a dedicated custom development team that helps us with not only customizing MicroStrategy, but other custom technologies as well, including some advanced visualizations that we'll see. We've always been early adopters. As active beta participants with MicroStrategy, we'll always bring the latest and greatest to projects. And then we have, based on our experience over the 10 years, we have an extensive library of best practices and artifacts, design guides that help us accelerate your MicroStrategy development. This is just a snapshot of, even being a relatively small company, we've had the opportunity to work with very large, complex projects, including building one of the largest custom BI platforms, social media analytics. We have a very strong optimization program that we've implemented at some large clients. We've delivered a highly customized MicroStrategy application that is being rolled out to tens of thousands of users. And we've also helped architect systems on the data integration side, large disparate systems. And big data is one of the emerging practices for the company. So let me talk about customizations a little bit now. So basically three reasons why I think anyone would need to customize, right? So it's not always an out-of-the-box limitation. There might be business or functional needs, right? Like you have to integrate your MicroStrategy application with the enterprise portal, right? So MicroStrategy provides that integration. You would need to customize. It's not necessarily out-of-the-box limitation. But there could be some things like, as we talked about, we'll look into the custom export for Excel. There might be specific things that you're trying to do that maybe are not possible out of the box, or provides a better user experience if you customize the way it's done. So in the end, it's all about the user experience, right? User experience is what's going to drive most of the things that you would do. So let's talk about seamless integration. It is one of the, a seamless integration of BI applications with the enterprise platform or portal is a common challenge. And what do I mean by that, right? So what are the users expecting, or what am I talking about when I say seamless integration? To provide an integrated experience to the users, you need to have an easy access to the new application from the existing portal using a single sign-on. What that means is you should be able to manage their sessions across the platform, across the applications. So you would need to have you would need to centrally control the security and user data access management. Whether you do it in MicroStrategy or outside of it doesn't matter, but I think it is important that seamless flow within the application is important to provide that user experience. Also, since the users are accustomed to using the portal, that they expect a similar look and feel for the new application so that they don't get lost. There's no kind of learning curve there that minimizes the learning curve. Also, if you have a core platform where you're building these applications, it is important to have a central location where you would be able to manage all your assets, all your objects across applications. Let me show you some of the examples. So this is kind of, think of it as a central repository or gateway where all your customer-facing applications would start. This is the UI that the users have been accustomed to. Once you log in, you see how it gives you, the drop-down would give you all the applications that you have access to. Once you click a specific application, it takes you to the landing page of the application. If you see, the look and feel is similar, so the users don't get lost. This specific page is built outside of MicroStrategy using EXTJS, but I think the idea, the point is that you've flown from the central portal to the application. The look and feel is similar on that, and now when you get into this is how the MicroStrategy application looks inside the platform, right? The UI still remains the same as of the central portal. The reporting piece is launched within an iframe here. The dark blue box that you see is the iframe in which the MicroStrategy report has been rendered. So as you see, without ever leaving the application, a user can seamlessly flow within the application, just authenticating once. We talked about the central location to control all your assets. So this is an example of what an out-of-the-box MicroStrategy My Report section would look like. So here you would have all your assets, reports, objects that you can click on, do certain actions. But for some users, this might be a little limiting, right? So you cannot do actions on multiple. You cannot select multiple files or folders and perform an action. There might be additional columns that you might need. But the most important thing is, again, this would be a separate location as compared to yours. So you would need to maintain your objects in two places. You would have your core application, and then you would have MicroStrategy where you maintain all the objects from MicroStrategy. But here's an example of a customized central location where you're not only controlling all the objects of MicroStrategy, but also of the core platform itself. So it's a very, again, it provides a very integrated experience to the user. The user can select multiple reports, publish them, refresh, perform additional actions out of them. There are some additional columns that can provide some more useful information as needed by the user. So again, this provides a very integrated experience. You don't have to control it to different places, and this provides that experience. So this is about the integration. I'm going to now talk about prompting and how business rule-driven prompts can provide you the flexibility and control for a much better user experience as compared to out-of-the-box prompts that many of us have found limiting, either in terms of the design or the functionality. So, the MicroStrategy prompts are restricted in the layout and the DOM. There's a certain way MicroStrategy does it, and you can change that, right? So which necessarily is not a limitation, but you might want to give more control the way you want to see them. The other big thing is business rule-driven prompting. If there is a business rule that you want the user to select that then enables or disables one or number of other prompts, this is a very powerful tool, this custom prompting is a very powerful tool to be able to do that. The other thing is the experience when in MicroStrategy a prompt drives another prompt. It actually goes to it goes to the next page. This, again, it might be a small thing, but from a user experience, I think it's a much better experience if the subsequent prompts that you're driving all are on the same page. So this is how a MicroStrategy out-of-the-box prompt looks like. Very standard. It's not too flexible in terms of how you want to lay out the design. And as I said, the prompt driving another prompt would actually go to the next page. This is how a custom prompt looks like. This is, again, built outside of MicroStrategy, but it is, again, integrated. The prompts are integrated with MicroStrategy, but the prompts are built using ext.js outside of MicroStrategy. But these have a very controlled look and feel. You have more search options. There are specific prompt answers that you can save, a subset of the prompt selections you can save and then reuse them. Again, I talked about the business rule prompting. If you see, there are a certain section of prompts here. And when a user is prompted to answer a specific question, in this case, when the answer is no, you see 9 prompts to the left. But when he answers yes, there are 2 additional prompts that he gets to be answered, and they're all on the same page. Also, if there are 2 data sets on the report with the same prompt, user has the flexibility to answer them in one click. You can choose to answer them differently as well. Because in MicroStrategy, you would have to kind of create different prompt objects for both the data set, and the users would have to manually reselect. So this prompting framework gives you a lot of flexibility and control, and it's a reusable prompting framework. Next, we're going to talk about an enhanced navigation and interactivity. What does that mean? For navigation, the similar the navigation is to a legacy application, the more comfortable a user would feel inside the application. Small things like when a report opens on a new tab. If it mimics the kind of browser behavior in a specific tab, they're used to it, they've seen it. The layout, if you have a long report which has multiple sections or multiple documents, multiple objects on it, right, a chart, grid, table, and if it's a long report, how do you provide access directly to those individual components rather than having to scroll through the long report? The ability to synchronize selections. So as part of this enhanced navigation interactivity, a user can select multiple things on a grid that would then show up on the graph as well as on the map, and vice versa. He can control one component then that drives the selections on the other components on the report. You have interactive features like selecting multiple things and launching a report with that selection as a prompt answer. So these are small things, but again, these provide control to the user in terms of what they can do on the report, and they don't feel limited by what they get out of the box. This is what out of the box MicroStrategy report or landing page would look like. If you see, there's a lot of real estate which is wasted in the titles and the display options, which not every user probably wants to see, right? So there are object panels, there are long horizontal scroll. So the actual content of the report actually gets pushed down and is out of focus. What's a better way of showcasing this? So if you look at, again, this is one of the reports that we saw within the enterprise portal in the iframe rendered. If you see the sections, the tile sections, all the filters, all the object panels are provided as a pop-up. So if you click it, they would kind of hover on top of the report and you still have the report in the background. They don't take away space from your main content, and it's still there in the background. You don't have to scroll through. The other neat feature is an expand collapse section. You can focus on a specific section that you're working on rather than, again, having to scroll. And you can kind of minimize the other sections and then move to them later. These were all customized using the Web SDK, MicroStrategy's Web SDK. Another neat feature is for, as I said, if there are long reports where you have to kind of jump to specific sections, it's a drop down. You can move from a specific section that you're working in to a chart, say, and it just shows up. You don't have to scroll. So it's, again, these are small things, but they provide a quick access to the user. It's a much better user experience for them to navigate within the application. Interactive features, we talked about the ability to synchronize. If you see on the grid, you could actually select multiple selections, highlight them, and they get highlighted on the graph at the bottom. You could do it in reverse where you're selecting certain things on the map or the graph, and that would drive the selection on the report. You could use that selection of the report to launch a report with those specific selections as the prompted answers as well. So again, it provides you a lot of interactivity, ease, and a lot of control within the application for the user. Let's talk about enhanced export. As I mentioned in the start, what we're discussing today is specifically for Excel. And again, you may or may not have this need. So MicroStrategy does a good job providing print-ready PDF exports. But in Excel, there are certain things, that you can't hide unwanted columns. You can't freeze columns. The cell lock for Excel doesn't export well. The cell wrapping doesn't happen well. It doesn't retain the orientation and scaling. So if there is a specific need for Excel, for print-ready Excel export, I think it's a great customization. And in this case, it was specifically for Excel, but this can easily be done for PowerPoint as well. So this provides that flexibility. The other thing it provides is export, batch export. If you need to export one report to multiple Excel workbooks, each with a different or same prompt answer, or you could have multiple reports from one folder in one click, just zip it up and go to one report. So it provides you that batch export additional functionality as well. So it provides you, as I said, it provides you when you're exporting to Excel, it provides you the flexibility to choose specific sections that you want to export, whether you want the whole report, specific chart, table. This has been achieved using Expose, and I know there are other technologies that you could basically use for the same purpose, but this one was done specifically using Expose. The display of objects, we talked about, the row and column header is not locked. There's minimal control over cell formatting. This is how an out-of-the-box Excel export would look like. You'll have your titles on the same page. The data is going to push down. You have, the headers are not locked. So let me show you how, this is how an enhanced Excel export would look like. The row column headers are locked. You have full control over cell formatting. Let me show you an actual example of, so an out-of-the-box export. So if I do a Control P, if you see the way the print preview shows, it's taken to 6 pages. The columns do not follow on every page. And this is how a print would look like, out of the box. Whereas in a custom export print, it's a much neater look. If I do a Control P, this is how you would have all your information about the report, the title and everything labeled in one section. And you have a very neat report with sales log, with the formatting done. Again, you may or may not need this, but I know a lot of the client services folks, when they have to provide customized reporting for some of their clients, or the clients need specific reports that need to be still printed in Excel, these are features that are very handy. And again, as ended to PowerPoint as well, with certainly some tweaks would be probably needed, but these can be extended to other forms as well. Let's talk about visualizations. Why would you need custom visualization, right? So, visualization, these third-party visualization libraries. So first of all, let me say, MicroStrategy, as it has evolved over different versions, has done a much better job with the visualizations that you get out of the box. And when I was listening, the version 10 release that's coming out would have an extended library, I think, with D3JS that can be easily integrated with MicroStrategy reports. Again, it might still need some SDK work, but you would have a larger set of visualizations available in MicroStrategy 10. But the basic reason why a lot of people go to these are lightweight, highly interactive. They are useful to display data when there are not a lot of client-side calculations, and there's simple calculations that are done post-report execution. If you need to represent a complex business scenario, and I'll show you an example of what I mean by that. Some of these libraries provide visualizations that are much more helpful to show complex scenarios. They provide a much more intuitive UI. They're configurable in the different graphs or tooltips or highlighting that you can do in these visualizations. Here's an example of an out-of-the-box versus a D3JS visualization. So the use case here was that we need to display an index bar chart for two attributes in the report. To give a quick comparison of two profiles with segment indices below a threshold value of 100 and above 100. The top graph that you see is, your x-axis would still start at 0, and the best way you would be able to do is like that. Whereas if you use a D3JS visualization, there's a much better way of displaying that graphic, which again is visually more appealing. It's easier to understand from a user standpoint. Advanced visualizations, or AVIDs. This is a custom visualization library that we've created, which is helpful for MicroStrategy mobile apps. These are, again, D3JS third-party libraries that can be used to create MicroStrategy data-aware reusable widgets. And again, these help with complex business scenarios. Let me show you an example. Again, this is a bubble word cloud. It's a custom visualization to compare two metrics for one attribute. It provides a much more animated interface where one can compare two metrics in each bubble of the cloud. So the whole cloud shows you the total weight, but then the cloud is bifurcated by the specific metrics that you want to measure. These are some other examples that are available if you actually go to the App Store and download the InfoSteps BI app. You have these interactive visualizations there, which is a demographic infographics. It's a drill down, advanced visualization. Again, the use case for these are might be different for each one, but if you want to just play around, there are some visualizations available there. So as I said, we'll show you a demo of some of these customizations in the actual application. But again, the point I want to drive is these are some of the things that we're just highlighting that you should consider. These are the ways we've done it in this application. There are obviously more than one implementation depending on how and what the application is, what you're trying to do with it. So keep that in mind, and you'll see the demo. I'll like to invite Prashant Rajput from our technical team who will drive this demo, and then that will be followed by the technical Q&A.
Thank you, Prateek. Okay, greetings everybody. I see people joining from different time zones here. I hope you all are having a good morning and a very good afternoon there. My name is Prashant Rajput, and I'll be running this live demo of the application that we have seen in the presentation and some highlights of the customizations that we have done. For those who joined a little late, I think this demo would cover the initial part of the presentation, wherein we show the seamless integration and the things that you missed in initial 5 or 10 minutes. So this is the landing page of the application. So we are basically talking about MicroStrategy being wrapped in an enterprise application, which is hosted on a platform. So this is the platform or the portal login page wherein user logs in once and then it carries for all the single sign-on. So this is where user provides the login credentials, gets into the portal, and on the portal user sees all the registered applications. So this is the home page of the portal application where the user logged in, and then user will see all the applications which users are entitled to subscribe to. So after this, user picks up the application and lands into the actual application page, which is wrapping MicroStrategy reporting. This is our enterprise application home page, which shows all the reports that users have created. You could see the page is divided in multiple parts. Left pane and the right pane. Left pane shows the hierarchical representation of reports, and the right pane shows you all the reports that you have created. So we talked about central repository for multiple reporting tools to come up with a one place. This is where you could see MicroStrategy reports and other assets that you have created in your application. And on the right top corner, you see multiple operations that you could perform on one or more reports that you could select here in a single click. This was the first page of the 2 pages that we are going to talk here. So all of the data that we have seen on the My Content page are MicroStrategy metadata kept in the application metadata storage. And all of these reports and everything that we have seen in previous pages are linked to MicroStrategy history or MicroStrategy saved reports kept in MicroStrategy inbox. And we have created a Java custom page which is communicating with MicroStrategy from there. Going on to the next page, which is create content. So this is the same custom page which shows up all the reports that user is entitled to. And then from here, user will pick up a report and goes to the actual prompt page for that report or dashboard or document. So this is the most interesting part of customizations. One of the most interesting part, but one of my favorites. So it is a custom prompt page. These are all the prompts that we are getting from the source data, and we are showing all the prompts data in here. This page is created as a part of a prompting framework that is built in Java, which talks to MicroStrategy reports or dashboards. So we have all of these prompts in MicroStrategy reports and dashboards and documents, but user get to apply their own rules, apply their own navigations, and apply their own controls on the prompting page here. So we tried to keep it in line with MicroStrategy prompts representation, plus having more rich interactive features on here, like the top right two buttons where you could restore all the defaults, or you could see the prompt summary. In case you have multiple or dozens of prompts on your reports or dashboards, you could click on the prompt summary button and it will show you all the answers that you have provided for different prompts. So as you see on this prompts page, there are different types of prompts that we have. We could see here a text field prompt. We could see a drop-down prompt. We could see two-pane selector prompts wherein user could use a select and control keys to select one or more elements. And we could see a radio button prompts, which all of these prompts are business-driven prompts. It's made up of ext.js and Java classes, so you could provide, and it's all configured. So user could very easily provide any kind of business rules in here, and they are very well communicated with MicroStrategy prompts, since all the data is coming from the source. So the business tool that we are looking at here is the prompts driving prompt scenario. So the selection that user made on second prompt drives the selection that would be visible on third prompt. So this is what we looked at when user could answer a radio button prompt, and dynamically in our application we are adding a couple more filters or prompts on a report, and then user will provide the answers to these prompts on the UI. We could see many interactive and additional features to make and to enrich the user navigation or user interaction here. You could see pop-ups, informations. We could see the hierarchies, wherein user could pick the elements from one or more different hierarchies. All of these is customized for a rich user experience. We could see the selected number of prompts. User could create a list from the prompt answers selected for any specific prompt, and then store that list. So whatever I save here, that becomes my favorite prompt answers, and I would be able to see that whenever I use this prompt on any other report. So I basically created a list of my favorite geographies, and I'll be using that I can use on this report or any other report which is using this prompt object. Then we have provided another business feature on this prompting page, wherein user could click on a radio button and choose to get an email whenever the report is complete. It's built in the enterprise application which is wrapping around MicroStrategy. So the moment when user clicked on the submit button, we submit all the prompt answers from the URL or task API to MicroStrategy service API, which processes the report with all these prompt answers. So the report that we are executing on MicroStrategy contains all of or most of those prompts. We process the prompt answers from URL API, and then MicroStrategy engine is processing the prompts, and we get a MicroStrategy report opened on a new tab. So it's showing all of the customizations that we have seen in the presentation. Majorly the interactive features that we have provided here. So we see customized save button on the platform. So user could save it from here, and then you have seen the customized export here, wherein you could choose one or more sections on a report to export. So I have a report with 3 sections, like I have a title or summary section, then I had a grid section and a map section. Then I chose to export a couple of them, not all. As we have seen in the presentation, this is the customized or custom form of export from MicroStrategy. So this is how we have customized the output in an Excel. We have used Java Aspos library to perform our customizations, but there are open source libraries that we could use like Apache POI. Going back to the report, what we see here is interactive feature that we have provided. So our users or our clients had a very specific need wherein they wanted to reprompt a report without losing the original report in the background. They wanted to see the prompt answers. They wanted to see or change the prompt answers and submit a different report in a new tab without losing the original report. So that we have, since the prompting page is made in exe.json Java, it's a custom page, we have created a floating window. Whenever user selects on prompt selections, we show all the prompt answers that user have saved or answered to get onto this report. As you could see, it's a floating window, and user could choose to re-answer or change the answer of any of the prompts and submit the report again. And this will show a new report on a new window, or it could refresh the same report with new prompt answers. Next, we are looking at the interactive features that we have seen in the presentation. It's pretty much self-explanatory in the demo. We could see all the buttons on top of a grid, which are actual MicroStrategy sections. We could see rows selection using the select and control key. So here we see all the MicroStrategy sections are being pulled up in a pop-up and shows up on need basis. These are MicroStrategy features available on right click of grid cells, thresholds, and filter data. So we have done nothing but customized them to show up on a button. So user could click on a button and these MicroStrategy features would show up rather than having them on a right click on grid cell click. We could launch reports, one or more reports. These are all entitled and secured. And the platform takes care of the security here. It makes sure that you see only reports that you are entitled to. Then we've got enriching navigation features like expand, collapse, select, unselect. This piece of code is showing the selection, synchronization, customization that we had seen in the presentation. So grid and graph or map, they are kept in sync in terms of elements that we see on rows. We have got some more interactive features in here wherein user could select some rows and save them as prompt answers. So I could select some geographies. I see that these are my interested geographies, or these are the areas that shows me the good numbers in here and I'm more interested to analyze them more. I could save them as prompt answers, which will be available to me in custom prompting page when I come next time. All of these interactive features and the assets that users are creating from prompts are being stored in a metadata which is maintained by the wrapping application outside of MicroStrategy, and it is all coupled with MicroStrategy metadata. So whatever we are looking at here is a default, it's out of the box MicroStrategy report customized for a better navigation because we had a very long horizontal and vertical scroll bars. So now we see everything as sections which user can very easily jump to, or you could use the expand collapse feature provided from JavaScript customizations. These are all lightweight customizations that we could perform on any MicroStrategy report or dashboard or document. That's all what we have from the demo side. I will hand it over to Prateek back. I hope you all understand that this is part of the customization that we have done is shown in here in this application. And there could be more that can be done on MicroStrategy customizations using the service API that MicroStrategy exposed. Please feel free to post in your questions. Handing it over to Prateek.
Thank you, Prashant. Organizer. So I hope you this gave you a flavor of some of the ways you can customize the experience and what benefits it brings to you. As I mentioned, if you want to learn this in a little more detail, we have our white paper that talks about what challenges developers face and what solutions or best practices help them while customizing this for external BI applications. The white paper is available at that webinar 2015.infosets.com email address. So I'll highly recommend you to download and take a look at that. The second thing I want to touch upon is the customization program that I talked about, and it's basically very simple. We have, based on our experience, the work that we've done with our customers, we have a list of recommended customizations, out of which you could select one or two customizations that you're specifically interested in. Sorry, and InfoSeps will partner with you for a quick assessment of these customizations in your BI environment, including coming up with a recommended approach or even a working demo where possible. So you can, if you're interested, please email us at sales.com. That's all we had in terms of the content.
This brings us to the end of the webinar. Thank you for your time and attention. You will receive a survey shortly. Please provide us with your feedback. Thank you again for joining and have a great day. Thank you.